Well, good afternoon and happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Did you get out and have some fun? Never lack of anything to do, I like to say here in the Sarnia Lambton. If you're watching this live, cold enough for you? I'm really not one to. I don't complain about the weather. I really don't, because first of all, I chose to live in southwestern Ontario. And if you want the weather to change here in southwestern Ontario, just wait 30 minutes. It'll change. Because it's like minus 15 degrees right now. That's not even like wind chill factor. They were saying minus 29 out there, right? So at this time, apparently snow squall warnings have ended. So that's good. I know my wife Jennifer drove to Petrolia this morning and the roads were clear. She took her time. Anyway, so, but the 402 was shut down, right? And I think Highway 21 around Forest Way, and lots was shut down. Tow trucks were definitely busy, for sure. I know I got a report. Somebody texted me and said there was the preferred towing compound. There wasn't a single tow truck in there, so that means that they're out on the road pulling lots out of the ditches or whoever knows what else. It still amazes me, though. I have to say, I went out yesterday, drove my son to work. How many people are still doing the speed limit and faster? Like it at 10:30 on Sunday morning, there was snow all over the place, and it was slippery. I was going down Lambton Mall Road, and I bet you some guy went by me doing 70 in a little car. I don't understand. Where do you got to be? That's that important. So anyway, take it down. Take your time out there in this weather. 'Tis the season. And we don't want anybody getting hurt. That's for sure. That's for sure. Do you read? I read a lot. What books do you read? I have a book right here that I use. I don't know if you can see this. 1001 Ways to Confidence. See that? Every day I read out of this book. Everybody wants to be confident, but there are no shortcuts. Confidence comes through hard work, testing yourself, and not being afraid to fail. Amen to that. I just thought I'd share that with you. What did you do over the weekend? There was certainly lots going on. I know we were out at Dancing with the Stars that happened on Saturday night. That was for CCMF this year, community concerns for the medically fragile. It was like a sold-out crowd. And fantastic dancing, of course. Even if you go, I don't know if I'd be into that. I got to tell you, you watch that. And of course, I did it a couple years ago. So in doing it a couple years ago, I have a lot of respect for the people that get up and do the dancing. Let me tell you, it was quite an experience. And now I'm part of a family. That was 2 years ago. And then, but it was a good turnout. And that was fantastic. Again, for CCMF Sarnia this year, Eve Morgan puts that on. And again, congratulations to the success of that. And my friend Harold Collins, who he put on, was called Sarnia Indie Night. So he was promoting independent music. And he did a fantastic job. They had it down at Theater 42 here in Sarnia. Sold out crowd. Fantastic. It's not a huge venue, but it's not a small venue either. So it's a good size in there. And just wanted to say props to my friend Harold for pulling that off. Sold out independent music, and I know he's already talking about doing some more with it. So congratulations. It's nice to see, because we have a great local music scene here in Sarnia, and it's nice to see people getting out and supporting that. Local musicians, we have a lot of talent here in Sarnia. Not just musicians, but I'm speaking specifically to musicians. We have a lot of talented I'm having trouble talking. We have a lot of talented musicians here in Sarnia. And I think it's important that we get out and support the local musicians just as much as we support charities and everything else here. There's so much. I know you can't do everything, right? We talk about a lot of stuff here on the show every week, always asking for support. And nonprofits and charities, of course, money, right? I like to say I stole this from, I can't remember his name now. Zig Ziglar, I think, said, money isn't everything, but it is up there with oxygen. You kind of need it to live. So how well you live, I guess, is what you decide. So anyway, it's great to see that happened. So Harold Collins, congratulations on Sarnia Indie Night this past Saturday night as well. And speaking of music, I don't know if you know downtown Sarnia. I enjoy downtown Sarnia. There's lots happening down there. It's been cleaned up over the years. I'll say it like that. There's, of course, we had the theater down there, but we've got some local pubs down there. The Hog Bar is now down where the old Greenwood used to be, or if you go back in my day, Mr. Mike's Variety Club. That was a few years ago. But downstairs there, it's called the Hog Bar, and they got great staff. It's all been redone in there, and they're having entertainment there on Fridays and Saturdays. And coming up this week, Blues Night, the 4 Barrel Blues Band's going to be there. I'm going to get there after the Sting game. Or no, there's no Sting game Friday. It's Saturday and Sunday. So there you go. I can get there early because it starts about 10 o'clock, and the 4 Barrel Blues Band, great group. I haven't seen them in a long time. So get out there and check out the Hog Bar. They got a great menu there as well. And I enjoy getting out there and seeing the local musicians. So another way you can support local. Speaking of the Sarnia Sting, oh, boy, they are having a rough go this year, I got to say. But they seem to be, trading out and getting some new picks in. So it looks like they're building to the future, right? But the season's not over. They certainly don't give up. But they had a rough go again this weekend, although it looked good starting off for the Sarnia Sting on Friday as they took on the Erie Otters and come out ahead of that one 3-2 it was. And yes, I see my guests all in there. Donna, you're all good, and Tana, you're good. So you can breathe now, Donna. 3-2 for the Sarnia Sting in that one, and we got a chance to catch up with Colton Kammerer. Calvin Martin got the first goal in there, but then Colton Kammerer got 2 goals, and I think a lot of people had their fingers crossed for a hat trick, but it didn't quite come. But we were able to catch up with him post-game, and we're going to take a look at that interview right now, and then we'll be back.
Here post-game with tonight's first star. 2 goals, Colton Kammerer. Talk to us about tonight's game. First of all, how big was that win for you guys?
I think it was huge. I think we've been struggling lately. We knew coming in tonight that it was going to be a pretty packed crowd. So we really wanted to get the win tonight, and it was big for our goalie Lammer. He's been working hard lately, and to be able to hold him off and get the win was awesome.
You come out there, you miss a few games, you come back, you seem to be on fire out there. You had a couple really nice passes earlier in that second period, and then you come back and score 2 quick goals. What was going through your mind?
I don't know. I guess it was just one of those nights where I was feeling it. Brad's really been working me hard with my injury, so I think that helped a lot to get back into the flow quickly. So.
You get excited when you get 2 goals. Obviously, was the hat trick in the back of the mind there?
I think try not to get too greedy. Be happy with the 2 goals. I was more focused on my plus-minus in the third. Try and make sure I didn't get scored on and bail out Lammer. So.
Talk about confidence here. You guys have got a busy week ahead. Is this the win that the Sting needs to kind of get back into building up their confidence and making things happen again?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it all just started with getting back to the systems in our defensive end, stopping on pucks. Our coaches have really been on that. And I think we had a pretty good start today. So just try and start off, get a quick goal, and be able to stick to defense and work hard.
Now you mentioned Cameron Lamour earlier. He got that win tonight. Looked pretty good doing it. I guess how is it to play in a game when you know you got a guy back there playing like that?
It's good. I mean, I think it gives you more confidence to do things with the puck, knowing that maybe if you do turn it over, he's there to bail you out. So yeah, he's been great for us lately.
For you, obviously, last year at the deadline, you pick up Cam. Mitch comes in February. Kind of got a bit of a numbers game. What is it like for you now going forward this season? That's a different situation.
Yeah, it's a lot different. I mean, I've playing a lot more, and with that comes higher expectations. So I think I had a bit of a rough start to the year with those expectations, but now I've kind of settled in, got my confidence back, and I'm playing my game now. So.
How you get the 2 points, obviously a lot nicer getting on that bus tomorrow to go up to Peterborough with the 2 points, and the rest of the weekend here you got a couple of road games, Peterborough and Mississauga. Talk to us quickly about those 2 games.
Yeah, they're huge games. 2 teams similar to us. We're all kind of fighting for a playoff spot here, and with Windsor and Kitchener and even Erie all within 2 or 4 points of us, these next couple games are going to be huge.
It's confidence being up now. Are you going to see more 2-goal games going forward this season?
That goal against the Sioux, hopefully that opened the floodgates. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I don't want to get too greedy, but
All right, once again, Colton Cameron are joining us post-game after Friday night's game, certainly smiling because he got the 2 goals in there. And Cameron Lemure, their new goalie, recent goalie that was added to the team, his first win as a goalie with the Sarnia Sting, so that was good for him. But then they would move on and have a tough weekend. They would head down to Peterborough, and the Peterborough Petes would take out the Sarnia Sting. Final score there of 6-3. And then yesterday afternoon was looking like they might have had an opportunity, but the Mississauga Steelheads final score there in favor of them 3-2. So definitely some struggles going on. There's a young team happening here, right? So the young team is learning and trying to pick up some experience. We'll see what happens. Coming up this Saturday, we'll be back pregame and intermission games, of course, myself and a very special guest that's going to be joining me, which I'll be announcing tomorrow for sure. So you're going to want to check that out for sure. But get your tickets. Go to sarniasting.com to find out where you can get all your tickets online and get them, get out there, have some fun, and support local hockey. And the passion returns to the Progressive Auto Sales Arena. Once again, this Saturday, the Niagara Ice Dogs will take on the Sarnia Sting. Puck drop 7:05, and then it's back-to-back on the Sunday as well. Barrie Colts are going to be in the house of the Sarnia Sting as well. All right. Well, as I said, lots of things happening in Sarnia, never lack of anything to do, and lots of organizations that we love to get here. And one I'm excited actually to have them here. The Sarnia Special Olympics is here in Sarnia, and they've got lots of activities going on there as well. And Tana Leckie-Manchester is joining us here from the lobby. Hi, Tana.
Tana Manchester. Just Tana Manchester. Leckie-Manchester is my Facebook handle.
Okay. All right. Facebook handle. Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being here. I know who you are. You know, we run into each other often, but for those who don't know, let them know who you are and what you do.
So my name's Tana Manchester. I'm the community coordinator for Special Olympics Sarnia. So Special Olympics Sarnia is a 100% volunteer-based nonprofit organization. We are committed to providing athletic opportunities for individuals with intellectual disabilities in the Sarnia-Lambton area.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
There's lots.
It is.
There's lots going on there.
Yeah.
What got you involved?
Well, my daughter has an intellectual disability, and when she turned 11, there wasn't any sports for her to participate in. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for her to be social, be part of a team. So, as a parent, I was frustrated and looking for something for her to do. And just happened, things happen for a reason, I guess. Special Olympics Ontario came in for an information night right when I was at that point of, trying to figure out what I was going to do for my daughter. Right. I went to the information night. I, watched a video. I talked to the coordinators from head office, and, just listening to what their organization had to offer, I quickly realized this was something that I needed for my daughter. I wanted for my daughter. And how wonderful it would be for our community. So, I said, what can we do? They needed a coordinator. I said, okay. And, kind of the rest is history. I have, wonderful family. I have a wonderful cousin that I brought with me to that night as well. And my goal was to start up a basketball team and a soccer team so that my daughter would have something to do year round. And she was my coach. And it's snowballed from there. So we now offer 8 different sports throughout Sarnia-Lambton.
Oh, wow.
We have basketball, swim we've had for about 10 years or so, powerlifting, floor hockey, bowling, snowshoeing, soccer, and track and field. So we have a lot to offer for our athletes now. We have practices every night of the week pretty much. And different events. We have banquets, we have Christmas parties, we get out in the community and hold different events. So it's been amazing. It's been an amazing experience for me, my daughter, and myself, and definitely for a lot of the other athletes as well.
Yeah. Do you have a sports background yourself? Are you a sports person?
Yeah, well, I played baseball until I was till I was a teenager, I think, and I played hockey till I went away to high school. So okay. I mean, I knew what it was like to be part of a team. Hockey was awesome. I loved hockey. It was a family. We went away on tournaments, and I mean, it was just a fun time, right? And just being active. So I wanted that for her. And I mean, I had all these opportunities for my other typically developed daughter, but nothing for her in that regard. So when this came along, it was a perfect fit.
And how old's your daughter now?
She's 14.
14. Okay. So, and this has obviously been great for her, but like you say, this is a family thing too, right? And I don't just mean you and your family. I mean, for everybody who participates and gets involved, you've always got to have a lot of volunteers. Do you have a lot of people participating, or a lot of kids participating?
For sure. So we have 103 registered athletes across all of our sports.
Nice.
Many of them do multiple sports, which is great. But we also have over 70 registered volunteers. And for the most part, we have one coach that's a dad, actually, that wanted to do that, and that's awesome. The rest of our coaches are not parents, which is big too, because it's nice for these parents to be able to just come sit and watch their kids play. It's a little bit different parenting, kids with special needs. So
certainly,
this is awesome for them. And then we have tons of people from our community. My cousins were great to kind of get the ball rolling for mid 20-year-olds, because they had there's so many of their friends there that are involved in this, and they have been, and I think they will continue to be. We also have tons of high school students that are involved, which I just love seeing. And this has had, I can see the huge impact for our athletes because they're volunteers, but they're friends as well. It's not just, I'm volunteering to help this guy. It's their friends. And that's important. Like my own daughter, like at high school now, like she's in the spec ed class at St. Pat's, but her and another girl, they go down to the cafeteria and they eat with some of the volunteers. But like I said, they're not just volunteers; they're their friends. They're the same age.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's important. Inclusion. I'll just say, yeah, right. I think a lot of times when there's special needs involved, we tend to categorize. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
or separate from what we call the norm. So this has not just been beneficial to your daughter, quite honestly. This has been beneficial to other teenage children that have created these relationships as well. You must have seen something positive come out of this in your daughter. Oh gosh,
when she started to get around that age, and when my other daughter was having friends come over, she would be upset and, cross her arms. She talks in third person. So she would say, Emma want friend too. Emma lonely. Right. And, as a parent, that breaks your heart, because I can't just send her down the street to a friend's house. It has to be somebody that I trust, somebody that knows all her little quirks. And now, we have people that live right down the road. This girl that goes to school with her, they're a wonderful family, a wonderful friend to my daughter. They're the same age. And, she comes over for sleepovers, and Emma goes over to her house, and I feel totally comfortable. And I don't think that would have happened without having this organization to help foster those types of relationships, for sure.
Yeah. So, I think it's important for people to understand that, because there's more than just sports going on here, and I think one of the great things you and I both know, I don't play I don't play any sports, but I've been involved in the sports area. I've seen that familyness, if you will. There's something about the belonging and being a part of something great, and we all deserve that, right?
Yeah, that's right. They just want what everybody else wants, and even the families too. Because all the parents are sitting around watching their kids, right? So just getting to know them, and they understand what you're going through. They understand, just all the stuff we deal with, and it's just nice to have people that understand that. And I've formed some very close relationships with other parents, and it's maybe not typical where our kids are going to go out. It's me and another mom and both our kids will go out bowling. We'll go out for supper and go bowling, and you hang back as much as you can and you let them do their thing. But it's nice to have people to do that with, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and good for you, like you say, to be able to have, that community, right, that supports each other. And that's fantastic. What kind of sports is your daughter involved with? Does she play them all, or she just got a few?
Pretty much. She does swim. We were just at a swim meet yesterday in London. So she does swim. She does bowling, soccer, track and field, basketball. She does most of them. She tried floor hockey. It conflicted with dance though, so she chose dance. But you know what? That's the thing right there. She has a choice now. Before
Yes.
she didn't have a choice, before there was not these opportunities for these kids to, shine and, do what they wanted to do. They had swim to do as a competitive sport, and that was kind of it.
Yeah. And I guess relieving for you as a parent, because I'm sure that you had to deal with this your own way too. And oh my goodness, how am I gonna? I'm not prepared for this. How do I deal with this? And to be able to have something. I guess it's one of those things you don't think about until it happens to you. I guess does that make sense?
Yeah, Why would you have to worry about that, right? It's not something you think about when you get pregnant and are going to have kids. It's it's the furthest thing from your mind. So I mean, when it happens, it's tough sometimes, but I think a lot of good comes out of all this stuff, and it's wonderful to meet all these people and to meet these athletes. I mean, the one word I would use to describe my experience and being around all these athletes and their families is joy. Like that would be the word to describe it all for me.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, before I let you go, I know you've got some special things that the Special Olympics Sarnia is going to be hosting coming up.
Yes, we are super excited. We're going to host our first basketball tournament here this weekend at St. Pat's High School, Saturday, January 26th. We have teams from London, Tillsonburg, LaSalle coming down to compete.
Nice.
So we have a full day planned. It'll go from about 9 to around 3:30. I am going to post the schedule on our Facebook page. So if anybody wants to come out and cheer on our teams, that would be great.
All right.
And we're excited because we have traveled around Southwestern Ontario to different tournaments with our teams, but it's just nice to be home and have most of our team is coming, which is great. And their families and friends will be able to come out and cheer them on too. So that's huge. We have some.
And sorry, where's this going to be?
At St. Pat's High School.
At St. Pat's, right? Okay.
Yeah, so we have about 35 volunteers coming out to help with the day. We've got some great event sponsors, Elite Corps Performance Training and Sentry Fire Protection for that day. And it's going to be great. And we also have a swim provincial qualifier we're going to be hosting at the YMCA on March 23rd that we're super excited about. There'll be about 150 swimmers. That one is a lot more volunteer intensive. We'll have about 50 or 60 volunteers for that one. So it'll be really exciting because we do have some athletes that I have no doubt are going to qualify to move on to provincial games.
Is that right? That's fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Well, you'll have to keep us posted on that so we can give shout outs to the qualifiers and everybody involved there and wish them all the best. And Tana, thanks so much for coming. I know it was a little last minute. We were able to make this happen. So I appreciate you, rearranging things to be here. Is there anything else you want to throw out there before I let you go?
Well, if anybody would like to know more about Special Olympics Sarnia or want to volunteer or would like to participate and join, check us out on our Facebook page. It's just Special Olympics Sarnia. And you can message me. I'm the one that answers all the messages. So, if you want to get involved in any way, contact me.
Perfect. Tana, thanks so much. And all the best to your daughter and all this wonderful things that she's doing in all the sports. And we'll look forward to some updates from you down the road.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave.
You're welcome. Take care. Tana Manchester. I only have to say that. She gave me permission. That's fantastic to see that this organization is here in Sarnia and has been for quite some time, but we're seeing more and more of them. And I appreciate Tana coming on and talking about the Sarnia Special Olympics. Sounds like they're having a lot of fun and good for the families, and everybody's just getting involved with that. And she said, if you want to get involved, Tana says, reach out to her on Facebook, or you can go to the Sarnia Special Olympics page on Facebook as well. I'll be posting all the links about everybody we talk about and all the websites that we're going to be sharing and everything. We'll share it during the broadcast. We'll be sure to post it after the broadcast as well, so you can keep an eye out for that. All right. We'll talk about support. We all need some support at some time or another. And there's lots of choices and agencies out there. But today we're going to talk about one in particular, the Family Counselling Centre. And the Family Counselling Centre is also always needing volunteers. And I've got lots of great programs. And Donna Martin is here to join us. How you doing, Donna?
Hey, Dave. I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it and figure it out.
I did, with the help of one of my social service worker students from the college. I always default to a younger person.
Ah, there you go. Well, here's the thing. Now that you've done it once, you're a pro.
Yeah.
You'll be able to come back.
I'm good to go. Thanks.
Donna, again, thanks for being here. The Family Counselling Centre is quite a facility. I was thrilled to have a tour the other day and kind of bring me up to date with what's going on. But tell everybody who you are, what you do around there.
Okay, so Family Counselling Centre runs about 20 different programs under this roof, and the two programs that I work for are the Distress Line and the TELCHEC program. So I am the coordinator of both of those programs. I've been doing this work for about 24 years and have had the privilege to work with some pretty incredible volunteers who have kept both of these programs going for all this time.
Yeah. Well, the Distress Line's pretty obvious about what that's about, but tell everybody what's TELCHEC.
Okay, so the TELCHEC program is an outbound call to seniors and people with disabilities who live alone. So our volunteers go into a phone room and we have a database that has all of our client information that we need in there, and we just start making phone calls. Our clients are isolated. They often don't have many supports. They're often struggling with lots of chronic issues. And if I might, I've got a story that I wouldn't mind sharing with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll just kind of help to paint a picture of some of the clients that we deal with. So we had a 92-year-old woman who was living in a rural area, and she'd been living independently for a long time. If you asked her, she would say that she'd been living stubbornly. So we've been calling her on a daily basis, and she loved our calls, loved the volunteers. But eventually she started to experience some pretty significant health issues and lots of mobility issues. And she started to disclose to me that she was falling a lot. So she had help coming in to see her in the apartment. She had Meals on Wheels being delivered, but she wasn't sharing that information with anyone. But she developed a trust with me and a trust with the volunteers that she felt that she could open up to us. So when I questioned her more about it, she told me that she had fallen 10 times in 1 month. So with her permission, I called out to Community Care Access Centre, now known as the LIN, and asked if they could go in and do an assessment. So they did. They went in, they assessed her, and saw that she qualified for some additional services. So those were put into place, and she was able to continue to live in her apartment. But then eventually it was just getting worse and worse. And she shared that with me, and she was becoming more depressed and more lethargic. I could hear it in her voice. She lost that vibrancy. And so one day she was talking to me and she said, "You know what, Donna, if it wasn't for you, the volunteers, and my cats, I would take all these pills today and just finish it." She said, "I'm just ready to go."
Wow.
So obviously that caused me quite a lot of concern. So we talked more about that, and she was willing to give me permission again to reach out to some professional supports and get them put into place right away. So we connected. I mean, she was connected with Lifeline. She had Community Care Access, Lambton Elderly Outreach helped her with transportation, but it was becoming more evident that she wasn't going to be able to live on her own. So we got her connected with a private retirement home. I got Shine at Home connected with her. They went in, they helped her with her sorting and her packing, helped her to get moved. And we had to say goodbye to her. So she moved into the retirement facility. And from what I know today, she's doing extremely well because she's socially connected. She's got the nutrition, hydration. She's got people around her. And so we don't have to worry about her anymore. So that's kind of one of our success stories. And when our volunteers are doing this work, we sometimes get to know the clients and their situation better than the professionals that they're connected with, and sometimes better than their family, because they feel safer to tell us about how they're really doing. Because there's always that fear that, if I tell my family that I'm not doing very well, that they're going to force me to go into a nursing home and I'm not ready.
Yeah, because we all want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a time,
Sure.
but I think the movement that we have today is to help keep seniors living in their home independently as long as we can. And
Certainly.
the other cool connection with the TELCHEC program is that when our clients are struggling, so for example, this particular client, if she was having a tough time in the middle of the night, or any of our clients, they know that they can call the same volunteers who do the work on the distress line. So they
Right.
can also reach out to us when they're struggling. And so it's a really nice kind of combination of the two programs.
It's a comfort thing too, right? Like, or
It
peace of
is.
mind, or, I guess, and I sort of said this earlier to Tana when I was talking. It's again one of those things that you maybe don't think about until you need it.
Yeah.
And one of the things about that, and being involved in it a little bit, is how much awareness is out there for this program and the distress line, and do people know about it?
Well, with the distress line, I think a lot of people do know about us. And I do want to do a shout out to our generous Sarnia Lambton community for continuing to provide some financial support to the United Way, because without the United Way of Sarnia Lambton, the distress line would cease to exist. They've been supporting us for over 45 years.
That's
And
fantastic.
then, yeah, with the TELCHEC program, it's been funded by the Ministry of Health. So we don't have a lot of marketing dollars, but we certainly get referrals through word of mouth. The professionals in our community know about the distress line and will refer clients. With the TELCHEC program, we've been at capacity for a very long time. And we were very fortunate recently with the city and county applying to receive the age-friendly status, which they just got recently. Anita Tressler from Lambton Public Health was very involved in that, and she applied for one of 6 grants that were being offered. There were health and well-being grants through the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. So our grant proposal was accepted, and there are a few projects that we're working on to provide extra support to seniors and to make Sarnia Lambton more accessible. But the TELCHEC program was very fortunate to receive a good sum of money so that we can now begin to spend more time and effort into recruiting volunteers so that we can then manage more clients and to market the program as well. I've never had to market it because we've always been able to maintain an average of about between 80 and 85 calls per day being made by our volunteers. So I was looking at our statistics, and last year we made just over 30,000 outbound calls. And so, yeah, and that's about $4,000 higher than the prior year, or 4,000 calls prior than prior to the previous year. And that's because as soon as we received the grant, we started opening our doors to more clients. But unfortunately, for the first time in 24 years, we've had to put a cap. So we just started a wait list. I've got 2 people on it, and I'm hoping it's not going to last very long because we desperately need the volunteers to maintain the program.
Yeah, well, I guess that was sort of leading to my next question. This is volunteer based, and is this all run out of the office there where you're at?
Yeah, it's our volunteers work out of a phone room, and then I do the coordinating from the Family Counselling Centre office. And we can offer different hours, and because of this additional funding, we're now able to split the job opportunities. So in the past, all of our volunteers have had to go through quite an extensive training program to do both distress line and the TELCHEC work. So it's about 34 hours. We run our training 2 nights a week for 4 weeks, 3 hours each night. Actually, I'm starting a new training on February 4th if anyone's interested. But now what we're able to do is separate it and offer to individuals in our community, and we're hoping to reach out or reach the retirement community so that they can come in and have a 1-day training, and the work they do is primarily just making the TELCHEC call, so they don't have to do the crisis work.
Okay. Well, there's certainly a lot going on there. A lot of moving parts with what you're putting out there, but it sounds like it's having successes, but
Yes.
like you say, you can never have enough volunteers, I guess, right? So
Yeah, lots of challenges with that.
yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone is, for those of you who are listening, if you're interested in volunteering for the distress line or the TELCHEC program or both, certainly give me a shout at Family Counselling Centre. The number's 336-0120, extension 251. I'm hosting an information session tonight at 6:30. If you want to come out and find out more, then certainly call me to register so I can give you directions on how to find us. But it's the work that our volunteers do is very rewarding, and they'll tell me that it's like talking to one of their grandparents. We talk about recipes, we talk about TV shows, we talk about travel. A lot of our clients emigrated to Canada many years ago, so they have an opportunity to share that story as well.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like I say, it's knowing somebody's there that I can I need to just talk to somebody. I need to vent. I need to just have a conversation, and some company might even be as simple as that, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Our role is to listen. Often there's, when we have a story to share, people are lining up to give us all kinds of advice. The people that call us on the distress line, they don't want advice. We believe that they have that kind of inherent strength to figure their way out of the predicament that they found them in. So we give them lots of time to just vent and share their story, and then perhaps and hopefully come up with their own solutions.
Yeah. Well, Donna, this has been very informative. I appreciate you're making your way on here.
Great.
I'm going to move on here in a moment, but is there anything else you wanted to put out there before I let you go that we didn't cover?
Well, just one thing for people who might know of someone that would kind of fit into the demographic of our clients, just know that not only is it reassurance to the client themselves, but it's reassurance for their families, because they know that someone's checking in with them every day.
Good point.
Okay.
Donna, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here and sharing all that information. And again, folks, we'll share this information after the broadcast is over. And I know we're going to be hearing more about Family Counselling Center on a regular basis. So thanks again,
so
Donna.
Much. You're welcome.
You're very welcome. Anytime. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye now.
Donna Martin from Family Counselling Center, talking about the distress line and TELCHEC. It's nice to know these services are out there. One of the reasons I like having that on here is that this might not be something that you need right now, but there will maybe come that time, and it's good to know about these things, so it's important. So Family Counselling Center, you can find them on Facebook, and again, we'll share the links after the show. All right, when I say PANDAS, what do you think about? Well, obviously you think about those cute, cuddly little panda bears, but that's not what this PANDAS is about. This is PANDAS disease, and Kerry Henrikson from PANDAS is going to come on here right now. I'll bring her out of the lobby and join us. Hello, Kerry. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, PANDAS, right? That's usually what we think about when we say PANDAS. Have you heard of PANDAS disease? Oh, what's that about? Tell everybody what it is. I'm sure you know it by heart, but there's a lot of big words in there for me.
Yes, there are. So it stands for Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric Disorder associated with streptococcal infections. So what's happening when somebody's diagnosed with PANDAS is they've learned that after infection, so post a strep infection, what happens is the child will start to exhibit some behaviors that are associated with this condition, and it's a result of the faulty antibodies from that infection are simply put attacking a portion of the brain, the basal ganglia portion of the brain that controls movement and emotion and other things. So it can look a lot like mental illness and several other things, but it's that's essentially what's happening. So it's inflammation in the brain that's causing these symptoms in these children.
Right. And this is very personal to you because you have 3 children that have PANDAS. Is that right?
I do. I have 3 children who have been diagnosed and have been treated for several years now and are doing quite well.
That's fantastic. But this is a pretty rare thing, is it not?
I wouldn't say that it's a rare condition. However, it's rarely diagnosed.
Okay. Explain what you mean by that.
Well, they estimate that as many as 1 in 200 children may be affected by these conditions, PANDAS and PANS. So that's, that's almost equivalent to juvenile diabetes, some juvenile cancers. So it's really not as rare as some people would think.
But it's often misdiagnosed, as you mentioned. This is something new to the medical world, or what's that? Because you and I know we probably met about this about maybe 3 years ago, right? There's been quite a bit of progress as far as awareness goes, or is there still a long way to go?
My answer would be yes to both of those questions. So there certainly has been a lot of progress over the last few years since we last spoke, but there is a really, really long way to go. And
not just in the public, right? In the medical world.
In the medical world,
when it comes being aware, right?
Absolutely. So not just in terms of research and understanding the condition, but also just in awareness among our medical professionals. A lot of them still are unaware how prevalent this condition is and that there are treatments available that are successful now. But certainly just widespread, there's a huge lack of awareness, a huge lack of services and support for this population. Of families, and yes, so there's a lot of work to be done, for sure.
So there's obvious reasons why you got involved in all this, but what's being done, I guess, to create that awareness? I know we got a special documentary we're going to talk about, but as far as in the medical world and making doctors aware, like, you must have come across a lot of struggles when dealing with doctors, I guess, in the beginning of this, I would think.
I think on average, a lot of families, when they do come across this information, they probably visit anywhere from 3 to 5 doctors, sometimes more, before they can find somebody who is knowledgeable in these conditions and able to assess a child and treat them. And it's extremely frustrating, after you've been dealing with a child who's suffering, and especially if you've been on the wrong road for a certain period of time, and then you find something that you think is the right answer, and you found something that is treatable and something that they can heal from and that they can get better from. And then when you just have doors slammed in your face, which is what it really feels like over and over again, when you don't have somebody willing to just even talk about this or look into this, it's extremely traumatizing for the families that go through this.
Well, we all just want to help our children, and when you want to help them, and you probably felt helpless at times.
Absolutely,
my child's suffering, and there's nothing I can do. So, how have you been overcoming that, especially with 3?
Yeah, building the support network that I started with PANDAS PANS Ontario was really key. I had found support in different networks throughout the United States before we started PANDAS Ontario here, but certainly the peer support that you find in the other families who are going through this is essential to being able to get through this, because there really is no other services available. And I would say that the way anybody overcomes anything when it comes to PANDAS is because of the parents. We do have a few champion physicians who have been researching this and really pushing education and awareness across North America over the last several years, but there's very few of them. So it takes a long time to make an impact. But I would say that it's been the parents who have really driven this whole thing, this whole awareness. Any education that's been done, especially in Canada, has been driven by the parents who have children suffering from this.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the word education in there. What about that, as far as like your children are all in school, I take it? So how about dealing with how do the teachers deal with it?
Again, the parents do a lot of advocating. The school boards locally here have been really supportive and have had us out to various meetings to do some educating and such. And they've also been really supportive of any events that we host in terms of conferences and educational events. in spreading the word among their teachers and staff. So that they've been really supportive. But again, as an organization, myself or other volunteers often go in and support the families in school meetings and such, just to provide that extra piece of advocacy for them to help their team understand what is happening with PANDAS and the best ways to accommodate them and to help them within the school setting. So, but again, it usually is up to the parents to do the educating at this point.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've got some. So are there many parents in the Sarnia area that are dealing with this?
We do have definitely a network of families across Sarnia Lambton. And I guess the efforts from these families in terms of wanting to help to start hosting more events and providing more awareness and education across our community is starting to grow. So we're actually going to be meeting in just a couple of weeks' time to get together to discuss some planning and service options for our area. So we're certainly looking for volunteers, and anybody who's interested in coming out to help with that in our area, you're more than welcome to get in touch with us through our website or through our telephone number that's listed on all of our social media, and come on out and join us and learn more about it. And if you have something you'd like to offer or contribute to our upcoming events, we'd love to hear from them.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, there is something exciting happening, or I guess it's sort of already happened, the documentary that you're going to talk about now.
Yes, so we have been really fortunate to be involved with this documentary called Stolen Childhood. The filmmakers based out of Toronto started this journey when they were inspired by a family local to the Chatham-Kent area and their story and their journey with PANDAS. So they decided to start this documentary, and I know they found it was an incredible journey, as well as every parent who was involved and every family who was involved with the making of it. So we spent a lot of time over the last year putting this together. Us, not as much as the filmmakers have done by any means, but we certainly did enjoy being able to participate in some of the filming and just consulting with them and partnering with them in the promotion of the film. And it's just been an incredible experience. It's
we've got one of the associate producer, Jennifer Davis, is out there, and she's saying that she's basically saying thank you for being here. So how long did this take to put together, from start to finish? Were you involved from the beginning, or did you have to?
That would be, maybe Jennifer will comment there, but a better question for her, since she was an associate producer. I just came in when they approached me and asked if our organization would like to be involved in consulting and in helping to get this off the ground. But it was about a year ago, to the day, I think, when they started filming the families who are involved with my organization. So it was about a year in the making, from my point of view. But again,
right.
better asked.
Jennifer, if you're watching still, if you want to join us on camera, just let me know, and I can send you a link. You can join us on camera if you want to talk more about it with us. That's an open door invite there. Awesome. I know that. So you're in this movie, right?
Yes, my children and I did talk a little bit about our story, and we talked, there is some footage of me at some of our PANDAS Pans Ontario events as well.
Okay.
So yeah, we did share a little bit of our story and what we've gone through, as well as several other families. So the film, it does a really, really good job. They interviewed several doctors as well, doctors who are treating this, doctors who spoke to the research aspect of this. And it just does a really good job of educating about the disorders, as well as talking about the impact on the families, and particularly the impact on the families of hitting so many roadblocks on their way to finding care for their children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What can you describe some of the behavior, I guess, that comes from this, and how you've dealt with it, I guess, from the behavior from the children?
And how I've personally dealt with it.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of things happen, I guess, just to kind of paint a picture of people who are still trying to understand what this is.
So usually what will happen is a parent is going to notice a really sudden, and sometimes it might not feel like sudden because some of these things have been there before, but at least a sudden worsening of behaviors. And oftentimes what happens is the parents can remember the exact moment or the day when their child either, woke up or came home from school or came home from a friend's house, just completely changed. So suddenly exhibiting really extreme OCD type behaviors, eating restriction. So, just like an eating disorder picture, tics. So, body movements and Tourette's type movements. Yeah. And severe separation anxiety. It can be severe sleeping issues, sensory processing disorder issues. Sometimes there's actual neurological impact as well. So decline in academic skills, mathematics, fine motor skills. So a lot of times you'll see a severe deterioration in their handwriting. It affects their, it can affect them in terms of having urinary frequency or sudden daytime bedwetting accidents. These things, that portion of the brain controls so much when it comes to behavior and emotions. So, you'll see a lot of emotional changes as well, not just anxiety and OCD type behaviors, but often angry and outbursts and just the really highs and lows that so and your kid is not who they used to be is really the bottom line. Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's where, because we know our kids, right? Mm-hmm. Even if they don't think we do, we know our kids. And I guess that's where, and all those things you described, I guess where someone who doesn't know our children, like a doctor, that could easily, I guess, misdiagnose, based on some of those things you described. It just sounds like some kids just having a bad day or whining about having to do homework or I'm not hungry or whatever that looks like, right? So is that part of the problem in there too, because of the effects that you see?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think, a lot of things that contribute to this issue of misdiagnosis and this condition getting missed, but that's certainly one of them. It's a really long list of symptoms. So unless, you have that in front of you and you're looking at all of these different things to kind of build that picture, in addition to kind of doing an assessment to determine if there was a recent infection that could have triggered this, it's certainly very difficult. And certainly parents are often going to bring their child to their doctor to just address the most pressing issue and maybe not even speaking about all of these other things. So it's a difficult diagnosis, but there's a lot of help out there. There's been a lot of recent research and publications over the last few years. There's a website called the PANDAS Physicians Network out of the United States, governed by medical professionals, and it's an amazing website, pandaspn.org, and it's a great resource for physicians to learn how to go about diagnosing and even screening for this and treating as well. Right.
And I guess the other difficult part of the diagnosis, which originally I guess is as a parent being able to recognize these things and being able to go, something's not right here. How quickly were you able to pick up on that, or did it take some time, or when did it all first come about for you to know that this was going on?
I mean, we're going back to 2011 when my son, he woke up having severe OCD out of nowhere. He had never really exhibited those types of behaviors at all before. I think because of my background in social work and working with children over many years, I had already kind of had this on my radar that he was a little bit more of an anxious child. There were some red flags there for me that, situations that had come up that had already led me to seek out care. However, when he woke up that morning and what he was doing was repeating the same question over and over and over again, so much so that he couldn't even, if you couldn't answer him, enough, and you couldn't answer him in the right way. He couldn't move from one place to the next. Like, he was just so incredibly stuck in these moments, and he couldn't function. And it was distressing enough that absolutely I got on the phone to, St. Clair Child and Youth Services and Pathways, where at places I had already contacted and said, something's happening, something's not right. This has gotten much worse.
Yeah.
And we needed to get a bit of an echo. wondering if that's
Oh, hang on.
something I did.
There you go. No, there you go. That's probably better.
Okay. Yeah. So,
sorry, go ahead.
no, and just, enough so that it's very obvious to the parent. And if the doctor who's been following the family for years has a hard time recognizing this and seeing this, we often recommend to our families to take video of the child and bring that in if that's not helping. It can be a real struggle for sure for families, and it was for us as well. It took us about a year of just treating the symptoms before we had even heard of PANDAS, and then another year and a half of seeing many doctors before I could find someone who would even consider just assessing him for it. So,
right. And I guess too, so you have 3 children that have PANDAS. Obviously, after the first one, when you had more children, you were keeping an eye out for this in advance of their birth. Is that right? Or
no, so Jonah, my son, who was first sick and diagnosed, he's my middle child. So I have an older daughter and a younger daughter as well.
Okay.
And absolutely, while I was looking for treatment for my son, I was kind of, it gets you thinking, it gets you almost overthinking everything. And certainly I was looking at different behaviors and situations that were happening with my other daughter. And her, I guess, deterioration wasn't as sudden as it was for my son, but it did happen. And luckily by that time, though, we had already found our physician and she was able to treat her as well. But it's, after you watch one child fall ill with something like this and to watch the other 2 do the same thing, it's very devastating. It's unimaginable to think about how you're going to do this again and then again. And to keep doing that, and to do that without the support and knowledge from, local agencies and other support services that are there for other families dealing with other issues, it can be a quite lonely place for families, for sure.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're changing that, or you're working on changing that anyway, and it's nice to see the progress that you've had. And this documentary, can people still watch this online, or where can they see it?
So we just finished up a week of online viewing with a UK international online showcase festival. So that was another opportunity that people had to view the film, which was fantastic. We're hoping that more opportunities like this will come up. They're currently circulating the film to different festivals. And so at this point, the only way to view the film is through one of those, or if you would like to organize a screening in your area, the film crew is more than willing to work with you on doing that. So that's one of the things that we do hope to do here in Sarnia Lambton very soon.
Okay.
So just to keep an eye out for those.
So let's right here now, Kerry, let's make that happen. And I'd like you to reach out to me and keep me in the loop of that, and we'll do whatever we can to promote it out there. Make sure people know about it, and we'll get people out to watch it. And if there's, even after that, if there's a link online that people can go and purchase it, or whatever that looks like, make sure you let me know. I think it's important to get that out there.
I will. They have a fantastic Facebook page, Stolen Childhood. So if you want to go there and follow their page, they do a great job of keeping you up to date. What's happening with the film, what's happening with a campaign that they have created called It's Time is something else I wanted to mention. So it's just, it's a wonderful campaign that they've come up with to help really just create a really big push globally for more awareness and research and just support for these families. So you can learn more about that there through their Facebook page as well.
I'm looking at it right now. I've looked at it before, but yes, I'll stay in touch and on top of that. And Jennifer Davis, if you're still listening or watching out there, send me a Facebook friend request. Oh, I want to thank you so much, Kerry, for taking the time to come on here. I know it is very important to you and has been for some time, and I appreciate you sharing your story. Keep it up. You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Doors wide open here. You enjoy the rest of your day, Kerry.
Okay. You too, Dave.
Kerry Henrikson, PANDAS PANS Ontario, and locally here, she's advocating. It's quite a story there, and I'd be surprised if you've ever heard of it before, and obviously personal to her. So, Kerry, thanks for sharing that. And the documentary that she talked about, Stolen Childhood, go out to their Facebook page. Again, I'll post all the links. I'm on there right now, but I'll post all the links as soon as we're done here today. All right. So thanks again, Kerry, for being on here. All right. Wow. Boy, the time flies when we're having a good time. Yes, Jennifer, please do. It's that time. And I got to get ready for my next show, which is later on tonight. I'll be on Twitch. That's right. Tonight is Father versus Son night, where I take off the tie and my son and I go on Twitch. And we play video games, and he usually beats me. But I've found a game that I'm pretty good at. We played last week, and we're having a lot of fun. And then Tuesday night and Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, I'm on Twitch talking Twitch Talk, everything to do with Twitch. And I encourage you to check out Twitch. It's not just about video games. There are talk shows, there are people painting, there's people playing music. There's Twitch has opened up the categories. If there's a category that you like, it's probably there. From talk shows to, anyway, you get the point. So check that out. And if you're not busy, check us out tonight, twitch.tv/Dav Burrows. I'll post that link there as well. And again, that's every Monday, Tuesday. I am on Twitch having a good time. Wow. I just can't believe that it's over. I want to say thank you once again to my guests for joining me. Of course, we started off with Tana Manchester talking about Sarnia Special Olympics and some special events that they've got going on, and a great organization here in Sarnia. Donna Martin from Family Counselling Centre talking about TELCHEC and the distress line. And then, of course, once again, my friend Kerry Henrikson talking to us about PANDAS PANS and, of course, Stolen Childhood, the documentary that is now out and being released. And Jennifer says she's going to get a hold of me. So that's fantastic. All right, everybody. Well, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.